Am I the asshole for following my late sister's wishes and kicking our brother out of her funeral? Edit. I needed to bold a sentence. My sister passed away recently after a long illness, and before she died, she made very clear instructions regarding her funeral. She specifically did not want our brother, John, to attend or receive any of her ashes. To provide some context, growing up, my sister wasn't kind to John. John also was not great, they fought like cats and dogs. As an adult, she sought therapy, recognized the damage she had done, and tried to make amends. She apologized multiple times and reached out, but John refused to reconcile. He was clear that he didn't want a relationship with her. When she became ill, my sister made one last attempt to reconnect, asking John to visit her. He declined again, stating that he had no interest in repairing the relationship, even as she was dying. This hurt her, and she made it clear that if he didn't want to see her while she was alive, she didn't want him at her funeral or receiving any part of her remains. In her view, if he couldn't show up for her in life, he had no right to be there in death. John showed up at the funeral uninvited. I think our UNLCE gave him the date and time in line with my sister's wishes. I asked him to leave. He became angry, caused a scene, and accused me of being cruel and preventing him from saying goodbye. Several family members have since criticized my decision, saying I should have let him stay for closure. Saying that funeral are for the living, but I pointed out this was her last wish. He thinks I'm a huge jerk and I am refusing to give him anything of hers still. The family is mostly split. So outside opinion. INFO. Are you the legal executor of your sister's will, estate, or otherwise formally connected to the end-of-life process? Did your sister inform any other close relatives of her wishes John, either verbally or in writing? Edit. Not the asshole. I don't know why he'd attend if he didn't like her. Was he just there to cause one final scene? Not the asshole for refusing access to a private event for someone not invited. Not the asshole you were honoring your sister's wishes. Did you make sure to tell John this? Info. Was there any consistent reason behind their fights? Has John ever articulated his reasons for not forgiving her? If so, what are they? I think this is important because there may be a very good reason why John never forgave her. I could go either way with this. Funerals are for the living, not for the dead, so I could see Op allowing John in an attempt to bring healing to the family. On the other hand, Op was simply obeying her sister's wishes. For me, I would need to know what occurred that, in John's mind, was unforgivable. This would lead to understanding whether he was being ridiculous or if he was right in not forgiving. My brother will die someday, after a lifetime of poor behavior and near 30 years of no contact. I won't attend his services. I don't want him in my life now, and feel no need to say goodbye. Not the asshole. Follow your sister's wishes. John and she both made decisions. They live and die with those decisions. Not the asshole. It isn't like she passed suddenly without any opportunity to reconcile. He knew she was dying, she apologized multiple times, he refused to accept, as is his right. It's not for any of us to judge whether what she did as a child was unforgivable, but he had a chance to be a brother when she was still alive. He chose to stay an enemy. He had no right to attend her funeral. Out of curiosity, is he asking for any of her things or any kind of inheritance? Am I the asshole for refusing to drop my ex-husband's last name? I, 56F, divorced my husband 2 years ago after 26 years of marriage. We have 4 kids, and the split was amicable. He came out as gay, and we mutually agreed to part ways. Changing my name wasn't a priority. Updating IDs, legal documents, and bank accounts would be a huge hassle. I still use his last name on official documents but go by my maiden name socially. Recently, he got engaged to a wonderful guy. I've been supportive of their relationship, but during my grandson's birthday party, my ex suddenly asked if I considered dropping his last name. His fiancée chimed in, saying it makes him uncomfortable that I still use it. I was caught off guard and awkwardly joked that unless they want to spend hours in lines at various government offices, I wasn't going to change it. My ex didn't laugh. He insisted it's about starting a new chapter and wants me to move on. The whole situation felt bizarre. For 2 years, it's never been an issue, and now they're ganging up on me? After the party, my ex called and argued that keeping his name makes it hard for his fiancée to feel like they're starting a fresh life. I countered that our kids still use the same name, and it would feel strange for me to be the odd one out. What really hurt was learning from my youngest son that his fiancée feels threatened by my name, assuming I'm clinging to some claim on my ex. I've made it clear I have zero interest in rekindling anything, but it feels like I'm being pressured to erase a part of my identity. My ex admitted his fiancée is uncomfortable because he sees me keeping the name as a power play. I feel like I'm caught between trying to keep peace and being forced into something just because his fiancée is insecure. They want me to go through the hassle of changing everything for their comfort. I told my ex that I'll consider it later, maybe after they're married and settled. But now, he's furious, saying I'm being petty and selfish. My friends think I should stand my ground, but my kids are divided. One thinks I should just give in to keep the peace, while the other agrees that it's ridiculous to change it just because his fiancée feels insecure. I'm frustrated. I don't see why a name on some legal documents is such a big deal, but they're making me feel like the villain. So, am I the asshole for refusing to drop my ex-husband's last name even though he's getting remarried? Not the asshole. Don't change your name. I had my ex's name for 22 years and changing it is horrible. I have so much stuff in that name, but as you stated, it's your children's name and you will always be their mother. If the fiancé has an issue, it is too bad. If you change it, you will always be pissed at him for forcing you, and if you don't, you will have to get over it. Seriously, stand your ground on this one. It is horrible to change and he is trying to take control of you and your life. If he wins this one, it will be downhill from there with every choice you make regarding your kids and life events with the kids and the ex. I can just imagine the other demands he will make if he wins this one. Not the asshole. Many people keep their ex's last name if they have children together, and it is such a lengthy and annoying process to deal with, especially if it's not something you actively feel the need to do for yourself. This seems to be more of a them issue that they need to work out as a couple. Why not suggest your ex-husband takes his partner's last name as an act of solidarity in forming this new family unit and see how he feels about not sharing that name with his children? He probably won't want to, which further justifies your point. Not the asshole. If he sees it as that big of an issue, why doesn't the ex change his last name to his fiancé's? Win-win for everyone. You two no longer share the last name. They get to be completely each other's for a fresh start. Your children still share your name. It keeps the peace without making anything your issue. Because they see an issue with it, they have to be the ones to make the change. That's not just your ex-husband's last name. That is your last name. It became yours when you changed it 26 years ago. It is still yours and will be until you decide it won't anymore. Anyone else commenting about your name can mind their own business, because your name is definitely not it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. My ex admitted his fiancée is uncomfortable because he sees me keeping the name as a power play. Yeah, well, that's a him problem. Not the asshole. Lots of women keep their last names after divorce for various reasons. Some people don't want to change the last name they've been using professionally for decades, while others want to continue to have the same last name as their children. And others, like you, don't want to change it because it can be a total hassle to update everything. Plus, it adds an additional layer of needing to provide details on the name change every time you're renewing or applying for something that requires a higher level of verification on your identity. Your ex doesn't have to live with the hassle. Also, he's your ex, so it's not your responsibility to help him manage his insecure partner. Am I the asshole for making my stepmother cry in front of her family? My 16 male mom died when I was 5. When I was 8, my dad remarried. He started dating my stepmother a year before, and he talked to me and my sister, 24 female, about it before. He told us we didn't need to see our stepmother as a new mom or even a mom figure if we weren't comfortable. But if we could be respectful and give her a chance to be something. He told us if there was anything off, he wanted to hear that too. We gave our blessing while also saying we didn't want her to be new mom, and Dad said he supported that and would make it clear to her. They got married and things seemed okay. Dad never called her our mom or anything, and she didn't really. There were times she called us her kids, and she'd try to do some of the mom things like Mother's Day activities, or sometimes we'd have stuff a parent-kid sports day and she'd want to go instead of Dad since most kids have their mom, but Dad would gently remind her that she wasn't mom. My sister and stepmother had a really rocky and rough relationship, and they don't speak much. My sister tolerated her for Dad after the wedding more than anything. But at first she was okay with her. She just hated that she didn't accept the no mom role. We spent after school with our grandparents until Dad got home. He'd finish work before my stepmother. So she wasn't doing all the mom stuff. She did offer to quit her job to do it or to go to part-time or something, but Dad and her talked and he asked if she'd be okay doing all that and not getting recognized equally. So she kept her job but still tried to fill the mom role sometimes. My dad and her started trying for kids and they ended up going to fertility doctors and stuff. Even when that was happening, she still tried to fill that role for me. But I still don't want her to be mom. The problem now is, she can't have bio kids. Nothing can help. Dad has been comforting her about it. But now she has decided that I could let her adopt me and we could work on changing our relationship. I said no when asked and told Dad. He decided they needed couples therapy. We were at her family's house Sunday afternoon and they were talking to her about the infertility stuff, and she had mentioned she still has one kid, aka me, and that we were maybe making that official, and even if we didn't, she was still mom to someone. It annoyed me and my dad wasn't in the room at the time. And I said no. Her family all looked at me and I said she isn't my mom and we'll never make it official because it's not true. She started crying hard and my dad heard and came in and he brought us home. They got into a big fight that night and my dad told me I did nothing wrong but she said I humiliated her in front of her family. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. I can't imagine how crushing her pain must be, and I feel for her, but that doesn't mean she gets to break your boundaries and use you as a band-aid. You're not a consolation prize. Her behavior was absolutely atrocious. My dad told me I did nothing wrong. I have to say, it's so refreshing to see a parent encourage and support healthy boundaries when push comes to shove. I assure you, you didn't do anything wrong. It may not seem like it now, but you're doing her a favor by not encouraging a false hope of adoption. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, especially given the fact that you were surrounded by her family. Not the asshole. She knew coming into this marriage that the mom role is off the table. She probably thinks, they're kids. I can change their mind if I force it hard enough. I'm sorry for her that she couldn't have her own kids. But you and your sister are not obligated to play into her happy family fantasy. The mom title is not something that she is owed based on how many mom-like activities, tokens she collected. It's 100% up to the kids. I'm glad your dad stood up for you on this. I've read a lot of Redditors prioritizing their new lover, spouse over their kids. Good dad. She's only humiliated that her failed attempt at manipulating you when she felt she had backup and more importantly without your dad present to defend you fell through. Seriously that is some extremely slimy behavior on her part. What kind of mother, step or otherwise decides it's a good idea to peer pressure a kid with a pack of people they think will back them up? After deliberately isolating a child for the confrontation? It's a deliberate move to change the power dynamics in stepmom's favor. Do you know where her family stands on the whole thing? Are they flying monkeys ready to harass you or sensible people? If she 100% believes they'd take her side, what happened wasn't innocent at all. It was an ambush, not the asshole. Go dad for not pushing this woman on you as your mom. He seems to get that just because she's his wife that she isn't your fill-in mom. At 16, you're old enough to have an opinion. Your opinion is you don't want to be adopted by her. It sounds like she put you in an uncomfortable spot and she messed around and found out. I think she did it hoping if you were cornered you would agree. Not the asshole. I have to say, it's so refreshing to see a parent encourage and support healthy boundaries when push comes to shove. I don't think I've ever seen a post like this where the bio parent supports their kids in this way. Bravo dad. And while I do feel for stepmom and can't truly imagine what she's going through, she was given a boundary and she crossed it. Not the asshole. I would tell SM that she humiliated herself when she said something that wasn't true. However, it sounds like your dad is handling it. Am I the asshole for refusing to apologize for something I never did? Using a throwaway account. I graduated high school 15 years ago. We recently had our 15-year school reunion. Anyway, during high school, there was this kid named Ivan. I didn't interact much with him, but he hated me. For the life of me I didn't understand why as I hardly ever talked with him. Until one day during our senior I learned that he hated me because he thought I was telling people he was gay. I never did and I asked why he thought I was telling people that. He refused to elaborate and said someone told him I was telling people he was gay. He wasn't to the best of my knowledge. I told him I am sorry he thinks that, but I never said that to anyone. Come our high school reunion and he again confronts me for calling him gay. I once more say I never did. He accuses me of lying and demands I apologize. I refuse and he goes off saying I'm a bullying asshole and that he's tired of people assuming he's gay because of me. I again said I never said that, and to be honest, I don't care if someone is gay or not because I don't have a problem with it. He storms off saying it was a waste of time coming and he wishes he would have known ahead of time that I was there. Maybe I should have apologized just to give him closure or something. It was probably a little childish, but I've had to apologize before for things I never did and I hated it but I don't know. Should have I apologized? And I don't want to give the impression I think there is anything worrying with someone being gay or thinking someone might be gay because there isn't. Not the asshole. He's tired of people assuming he's gay because of me. I mean, the mischaracterization of your actions notwithstanding, he should feel free to make new adult friends. Who's only associating with high school classmates, 15 years later? Nope, never apologize for something you did not do, ever. And not just in this situation, in all areas of life. Ivan is obviously not gay. But his boyfriend probably is. 15 years holding a grudge against someone you barely interacted with? Wild. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You shouldn't have to sacrifice your dignity to spare his feelings. Not the asshole. I'm not sure it is really about you. It sounds like the person who told him these things was someone whom he had put a lot of trust in. For Ivan, an affirmative would have been closure that this person hadn't been messing with his head, probably a lifelong friend if it is still that important to him. In which case you did Ivan a favor.